From a kid racing go-karts in small-town New Zealand to sharing a garage with Max Verstappen at Red Bull Racing, Liam Lawson's rise in motorsport has been nothing short of mental. At just 23 years old, he's already rewritten the script on what it takes to go from local hopeful to Formula One star. But is he truly as good as the hype suggests? Or is this just another high-risk gamble by Red Bull? Let's find out.
What advice do you have for Liam?
Just hydrate well. You need to keep focused throughout the whole race. It's easy to hit a wall here and there.
I hope you did a good training, good workout before coming here.
Max Verstappen comes across the line. Max Verstappen stays in 10th position, and we're looking now to who can improve. One Red Bull is out. Can Liam Lawson make it through? He can! Liam Lawson knocks out Max Verstappen. Absolutely extraordinary.
Liam Lawson's story begins in the quiet, scenic landscapes of New Zealand, a country of just over 5 million people, but with a motorsport legacy that punches well above its weight. Born in Hastings on February 11th, 2002, Lawson was drawn to motorsport before he could even talk. At just 7 years old, Lawson started karting, quickly showcasing his natural talent. By the time he was 10, he was already competing against older, more experienced drivers, consistently finishing on the podium. This raw ability caught the attention of the motorsport community in New Zealand, which recognized him as a rising star. I mean, every country claims they've got the next big thing. Gotta keep the spirits of the people up, you know? The real breakthrough came in the 2016-17 season when he competed in the New Zealand Formula 4 Championship. At just 14, Lawson became the youngest champion in the series history, absolutely dominating the competition with 14 wins, 15 podiums, and 2 pole positions out of 15 races. I'm not even joking when I say this kid was something special. 14 wins out of 15 races? That's not just good, that's bloody ridiculous. When you're winning 90% of your races, people have to start taking notice. In 2018, Lawson made the leap to Europe, a crucial step for any driver with ambitions of reaching Formula One. He joined the ADAC Formula 4 Championship in Germany, a fiercely competitive series known for developing future F1 stars. Like Lando Norris was racing in it before. That's good enough for me. Driving for Van Amersfoort Racing, Lawson impressed immediately with 3 race wins and 11 podiums, finishing second in the championship behind Liam Zendelli. At the same time, Liam also competed in the Italian Formula 4 Championship, that same year, gaining valuable experience on some of Europe's most iconic circuits. Though the results were more modest, he finished 8th overall. Racing in 2 championships simultaneously is absolutely brutal. The travel alone would break most teenagers, not to mention the mental pressure of switching between different cars, teams, and tracks every other weekend. By 2019, Lawson had already built a reputation as a driver with exceptional car control and relentless competitive spirit.
Nice.
His performances earned him a place in the Red Bull Junior team, and that same year, Lawson competed in the Euro Formula Open Championship, securing 4 wins and finishing 2nd overall. What really stood out was his racecraft. Lawson wasn't just fast, he was smart. While other young drivers would dive bomb into corners like they're playing a Formula One game with damage turned off, Lawson showed patience beyond his years. He knew when to push and when to back off, a rare quality in teenage racers who typically have more testosterone than brains.
Morjens. Harmi homma. Tässä on muuten niin siistiä sellaista herrasmiesmäistä kisaamista nähty.
But still, his approach had people whispering that maybe, just maybe, this kid from New Zealand could go all the way. Liam Lawson's transition to Formula 3 in 2020 marked another significant step in his meteoric rise. After proving himself in Formula 4 and the Euro Formula Open Championship, Lawson entered the FIA Formula 3 Championship with High-Tech Grand Prix. The move was a clear indication of Red Bull's belief in his abilities, as he now faced a grid filled with the most talented young drivers from around the world. This is where things get serious. Formula 3 is where the real prospects separate themselves from the pretenders. In his rookie season, Lawson wasted no time making an impact. Right out of the gate, he showcased his ability to compete at the sharp end of the field by securing a victory in just the 2nd round at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. Winning at the Red Bull Ring in a Red Bull-backed car? That's what I call
nice.
Across the 2020 season, Lawson scored a total of 6 podiums, including 3 wins, and consistently finished in the points. Despite the challenges of adapting to new tracks and battling more experienced rivals, he ended the season in 5th place in the drivers' standings. 5th in the championship might not sound well-beating, but context matters here. Lawson was up against drivers like Oscar Piastri, who would later go on to be considered generational talents. Holding his own against these future stars showed that Lawson belonged in this elite company. But was he truly at their level, or just close enough to look good by association? What stood out was his recovery drives. After qualifying disasters or first-lap incidents, Lawson would often charge through the field like a man possessed. However, nobody here is interested in recoveries. Can you actually win a season? That was the big question that everyone was asking, and 2021 season brought the answers.
Hi everyone. We're here in Monaco for the second round of F2, so it's a very, very exciting weekend for me.
In 2021, Lawson made a significant step forward by competing in the Formula 2 Championship with High-Tech Grand Prix. Lawson made an immediate impact in his debut season, winning the first sprint race of the year in Bahrain. Starting 3rd on the grid, looking good. That Bahrain win had people whispering again, is this kid actually better than we thought? The comparison started flying. Was he the next Verstappen, the next Leclerc, or just a flash in the pan who'd flame out like so many promising juniors before him? Over the course of the season, Lawson secured 1 pole position and 4 podium finishes, amassing a total of 103 points. These results placed him 9th in the overall championship standings. 9th overall doesn't tell the full story though. Mechanical gremlins haunted Lawson throughout the season. He retired from promising positions multiple times, costing him valuable points.
Yes. On kyllä tyylikäs tollanen, jos ois niinku koko ajan löis liikkeen noin vehkeet.
In Monaco, he was running in the top 3 before his car decided to play dead. In Monza, another potential podium went begging when his engine gave up the ghost. Without these failures, he could have easily been fighting for 5th or 6th in the championship. But if you're blaming the car, switch the team, right? Especially taking into account that Tsunoda already moved on from the junior series, and you've been racing together only a year ago. And by the way, Tsunoda came into the junior series later than you, and has a fantastic sense of humor.
You're so kind. Thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. You gonna bring it in for me as well? Yeah, thanks. Are you serious?
At least I think that was the reasoning behind the 2022 season switch. Lawson started racing for Carlin, but his move raised eyebrows. Carlin was a good team, but not consistently at the sharp end like Prema or Art. Was Lawson making a mistake? Or did he see something in the British outfit that others missed? As it turned out, he knew exactly what he was doing. One of the standout moments was his victory in the sprint race at the famed Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Taking on a field stacked with experienced rivals, Lawson showcased his racecraft while pulling off decisive overtakes. However, the season wasn't without its frustrations. Mechanical issues and bad luck in key moments prevented Lawson from capitalizing on his pace in several races. Despite these setbacks, he secured another victory at Le Castellet and continued to collect podiums throughout the season. By the end of 2022, Lawson had finished the championship in an impressive 3rd place with 149 points. 3rd in the championship with Carolyn, that's like winning the Premier League with Leicester City. It's not supposed to happen. The 2 drivers ahead of him, Felipe Drugovich and Theo Porcher, were in their 3rd and 2nd seasons respectively, while Lawson was just in his sophomore year. This was another sign that perhaps Lawson's ceiling was higher than most had anticipated. Alongside his Formula 2 commitments, Lawson began to get a taste of Formula 1 machinery. Red Bull provided him with opportunities to participate in young driver tests at iconic tracks such as Spa, Mexico City, and Abu Dhabi, gaining invaluable experience. The reports from these tests were overwhelmingly positive. Engineers noted his immediate speed, technical feedback, and ability to implement changes requested by the team. In Abu Dhabi, he reportedly matched times set by the regular drivers with minimal running, the kind of performance that makes team principals sit up and take notice. However, the question remained, could Lawson translate this promise to the pressure cooker of a full F1 weekend?
A really, really good race. Start wasn't amazing, honestly. I lost a place, but then I gained a place as well. So,
as Lawson's Formula 2 career came to a close, Red Bull made the strategic decision to send him to compete in Japan's Super Formula Series for the 2023 season. This move raised questions. Why not push for an immediate F1 seat, or keep him as a full-time reserve?
Lawson coming around the outside of his teammate Najiri. He wants to try and leapfrog it, and they're still going to be side by side. Lawson is off! He's lost it! He's lost it on the far side, and there's a big accident! Oh my goodness! 3 or 4 cars going over him.
Red Bull wasn't fully convinced. However, I'm fully convinced that we can break through 10,000 subscribers before F1 summer break. So if you like this video so far, don't forget to subscribe. I have to make one thing clear though. Super Formula is not just another racing series. It's widely regarded as one of the fastest single-seater championships outside F1, with cars that offer performance levels comparable to F2. The cars are proper quick, they generate serious downforce, and the racing is intense. Pierre Gasly spent time there before his F1 promotion, and many rate it as the best preparation for Grand Prix racing. The move to Super Formula was actually genius from Red Bull. Instead of having Lawson sitting on the sidelines as a reserve driver, they put him in a highly competitive environment where he could continue developing his skills away from the intense scrutiny of the F1 paddock. Right from the start, Lawson made it clear he was in Japan to compete, not just participate.
I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to win, and that's what I'm focused on doing.
In his debut race at Fuji Speedway, he shocked the paddock with an aggressive yet calculated performance that saw him take the victory. Winning on debut in Super Formula is basically unheard of for foreign drivers. The championship is dominated by Japanese veterans who know the tracks like the back of their hand. What made this win even more impressive was how he did it. He didn't luck into it through safety cars or others' misfortune. He fought for it, making decisive overtakes and managing his pace perfectly. The Japanese commentators were absolutely shocked. One of the most memorable moments of Lawson's campaign came at Suzuka, where he battled wheel-to-wheel with some of Japan's most experienced drivers. Throughout the season, Lawson consistently fought at the front, marking himself as a championship contender. Though he ultimately didn't win the title, finishing an impressive second in the standings, his performances throughout the season were nothing short of exceptional. In 2023, Lawson also served as a reserve driver for both Red Bull Racing and AlphaTauri. He got an opportunity to shine sooner than expected when AlphaTauri's Daniel Ricciardo suffered a hand injury during practice at Zandvoort. This was it, the moment of truth. Reserve drivers getting suddenly called up is the ultimate sink-or-swim scenario. The race at Zandvoort was insanely wet, yet Lawson avoided major errors and brought the car home safely. Just finishing the race was an achievement given the circumstances, but Lawson even managed to come in at P13. He seemed to be pretty happy about it, and finishing above his former teammate Tsunoda probably felt good. The team was impressed, and it seemed like Ricciardo would be out for a while, so Liam will get a couple of shots at it. In Singapore, qualifying was insane.
Max Verstappen stays in 10th position. How about Liam Lawson? Can Liam Lawson make it through? He can! Liam Lawson knocks out Max Verstappen!
But everybody can put in one lucky lap. The question was, can he finish a race in points? And he did. Finished 9th in Singapore, securing his first ever points in Formula 1. What made this performance even more notable was that he outqualified and outperformed his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. And that's exactly the point where the comparison between Lawson and Tsunoda really heated up. Tsunoda, despite his raw speed and occasional brilliance, had been inconsistent throughout his career. He'd have a stunning weekend followed by a crash fest. Lawson, in his limited outings, seemed to bring something Tsunoda lacked: consistency and a mature head on young shoulders. In the races that followed, this pattern continued. Lawson consistently performed at or above Tsunoda's level, despite having a fraction of the experience in F1. In Austin, he qualified ahead of Tsunoda and finished just outside the points. In Mexico, he was running in the points before a strategic error by the team. In Brazil, amid chaotic conditions, he kept his cool while others lost their heads. By the end of his brief stint replacing Ricciardo, Lawson had done enough to create a genuine conundrum for Red Bull. The original plan had been for Ricciardo to return and continue with AlphaTauri for 2024, with Tsunoda as his teammate. But Lawson's performances started to raise questions. Could they really justify keeping him on the sidelines after what he'd shown?
Let me tell you something. 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 Wait.
The decision to stick with Ricciardo and Tsunoda for 2024 was controversial. Many felt Lawson had done more than enough to warrant a seat, and keeping him as a reserve seemed like a waste of talent. Red Bull's justification was that they wanted to give Ricciardo a full season to show his worth, while continuing to develop Tsunoda, who they'd invested years in already. This decision raised serious questions about Red Bull's junior program and their willingness to promote from within. If performing admirably as a substitute and outperforming a current driver wasn't enough to earn a seat, what was? Had Red Bull lost faith in their own development system? The 2024 season would prove critical for all involved. Ricciardo struggled to recapture his old form, consistently underperforming despite his experience and previous success. Tsunoda, while improved in consistency, still showed limitations that suggested he might never make the leap to the main Red Bull team. Meanwhile, Lawson waited in the wings, continuing to impress in testing and simulator work. Sergio Perez's struggles at the main Red Bull team only complicated matters further. After a decent start to the season, Perez's form collapsed dramatically, creating a massive gap between him and Verstappen that ultimately cost Red Bull the Constructors' Championship. As the season progressed and Perez continued to falter, the calls to replace him grew louder. The obvious candidates were Ricciardo as the experienced hand or Tsunoda as the long-term project, but lurking in the background was Lawson, the driver who'd shown so much promise in his brief audition. The question became not just whether Lawson deserved a seat in F1, but whether he might actually be the best option for the coveted second Red Bull seat alongside Verstappen.
As you said, new teammate, Liam. I'm excited to be working with him.
Lawson's promotion to Red Bull Racing for the 2025 Formula One season was nothing short of monumental. It was a decision that marked a seismic shift in Red Bull's approach to driver development. With Sergio Perez exiting after a tumultuous 2024 season, Red Bull opted to take a calculated risk, elevating Lawson to partner Max Verstappen. The decision to pick Lawson over Tsunoda came down to several factors. First, there was the direct comparison from Lawson's substitute stint. He'd matched or exceeded Tsunoda's performance despite having a fraction of the experience. Second, there was Lawson's exemplary technical feedback, which engineers raved about. In a sport where car development is critical, having a driver who can articulate exactly what the car is doing is worth its weight in gold. Third, and perhaps most critically, there was the question of mental fortitude. Being Verstappen's teammate is arguably the toughest job in F1. You're directly compared to one of the greatest talents the sport has ever seen, with the weight of expectation crushing down on you. Gasly couldn't handle it, Albon couldn't handle it, Perez managed for a while before the pressure became too much. Red Bull clearly believed Lawson had the psychological strength to thrive where others had wilted. For Tsunoda, this decision was a bitter pill to swallow. Despite years of development and improvement, Red Bull had effectively judged that his ceiling was lower than Lawson's. He'd been deemed good enough for AlphaTauri/RB, but not for the main team. It spoke volumes about how Red Bull viewed the comparative potential of the two drivers.
Not too nervous?
Definitely felt more prepared for other races. Yeah, exactly. What is the weather?
The stakes couldn't have been higher for Liam. He was desperate to earn that Red Bull seat. But what does he have to show for it? Honestly, not much. He came into the season full of swagger, doing podcasts, talking trash about other drivers.
We're going to save this spot for George right next to Max. And then George arrived. And then Max is like, mate, we've saved a seat for you. And George just picks up the chair and walks to the other end of the table and sits on the other side of the table.
Sure, that kind of bravado is normal for a kid his age, but someone probably should have warned him. Karma in F1 is brutal. If Red Bull had a competitive car in 2024, maybe this would be a different story. But they've been nowhere, and even Max can barely drag that thing onto a podium. Liam crashed out in Australia, then limped to 12th in China.
Oh my god, man. Yeah, that was a bit of a slog today.
While Max is still somehow clinging to the front of the grid. At this point, Red Bull seems to be realizing they might have made a mistake. Word is, they're lining up Tsunoda for that second seat. And honestly, I think they're right. I don't believe Liam Lawson is a bad driver, not at all. But not bad doesn't cut it in a Red Bull. Maybe he's fit for RB Mini, but he's not ready for the big league. And for those saying he didn't get enough time to prove himself, what place did Kimi Antonelli finish in China? Did he crash? When you've got real talent, you don't need time, you make an impact. So what do you think? Are we in for another Red Bull seat shuffle before the summer break? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.